Hello everyone, and thanks for joining me today with Stamping with Loretta. Today I'm bringing you this little boy themed card. The stamped image is from your next stamp. The sentiment that will be shown later is from My Favorite Things. First, I stamped the image onto Copa Quality white expressive cardstock with Memento Tuxedo black. I then created a mask for the image, and then I airbrushed over the top of it using my airbrush and my Copic markers. I wanted this to very much look like a water scene as I was going along, and it did take me probably half an hour to actually do the whole entire process, mostly because I'm a little bit anal about that kind of thing. Anyway, I'm going to start here with the coloring. I'm going to start with the two small little fish, as you see. Ultimately, when this card is finished, those are going to be covered up. I did kind of change my mind as far as the direction of this card toward the end and cut some scallops to represent the waves in the little boat. When I was coloring this image, I started with his hair first and then his shirt. But as I was coloring his hair, I noticed that some of the background behind him didn't airbrush perfectly well, so I went over that with a really kind of a dark yellow marker, and I didn't like that. I actually cut that part out of the video, but I did go back over it a couple times with a colorless blender and then a lighter green until I really liked it. In person, it looks like it's got even a glow behind the main image, and like I said, I like the way it came out. When I was coloring the boat, I decided to use two browns. These are actually E7 and E9, so they're reddish browns. In person, this actually looks a little darker than it does on the video, but I worked with that and got the shadows in there. And next, I'm going to go ahead and color the paddle. I used my warm grays for that, and here you see me actually going back with that lighter yellow marker that I told you about earlier to add that halo behind the main image. When it came time to do the little boy's skin, this time I actually went a little bit darker than what I normally do. I used E21, E30, and E11 for this process, and I actually started with the darkest color first to lay in my shadows so that as I went along I could blend that back out to where I wanted it to be. I figured since this little guy was in his canoe that he probably had gotten a little bit of sun during the spring and summer months, so he needed to have a little bit of that kiss look to his skin. Next, I'm going to work on the little dog. The little dog is actually mainly covered with Y28, and then I go back with some I think it's 47 that I used here to darken him up, add those shadows back in, and blend that back out. I went back and I added some R21 to the little boy's cheeks and his mouth, and the same thing to the puppy's cheeks. I added that R20. I did actually hold that R20 on place in the little critter's face there, just so that it would lighten up that brown and you could kind of see that pink pop forward. As we continue here, we are going to start putting in the interest below that boat by going back over these little fishes. Like I said before, in the end of this video you're not going to actually see them, but at the time I didn't know that, so I wanted to go back over those lines so that they would show up a little bit more. And I didn't think that the puppy himself had stamped very well, so I did go back over that. Since he was already colored, I'm actually using just a regular permanent type pen. You don't want to use that type of pen when you're actually coloring because it will smear, but if the image is dry, you can use that. To add some interest, I added some wave detail over the boat's bow and on the side of the image. I also added some cute little white dots for the cheeks and a little bit of interest on that puppy. Some of that will also be covered up by those waves. So next, I'm going to start assembling the card. The card is 4 1/4 square. It's cut from cardstock from My Favorite Things. And I just layered that up with my Dynamics cross-stitch stackable square dies, and that is, this is actually my design team project, or one of them, for the month of July. And so you'll actually be seeing this after the fact. There are some exciting things going on in my life, which I hope to vlog about soon. I am going to get these waves onto the card, and the first layer I put down, I actually used some sticky dots or some bolsters from Judy Moore on the Sticky Stuff store. Her information will be down below in the form of a caption or in the description box. And then I layered a second piece on top of that. I just used my liquid glue to place that on, and I just held that in place for a couple seconds with my fingers while it dried. And then you're going to see me flip this card over so that I can trim that up so that the edges match, and it's going to finish off perfectly. Next, I'm going to take a little bit of scrap of my Express It cardstock that's going to measure 4 by 4 inches. I'm going to layer that onto the inside of the card, stamp the sentiment after I actually sponge the edges of that white layer, as you'll see. And then that's pretty much it. This card is finished. I hope you will enjoy it. Bye.